Shalom. All praise is due to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rech Kodash. Double honors to the elect apostle, bishops, elders at Great Millstone that were well. Shalom to like Ak out there doing this work in sincerity and truth, not for vainglory, in season, out of season. Shalom to the men, women, sons, and daughters of the elect of the nation of Israel, which are the men, women, sons, and daughters of the elect of so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans scattered through the four corners of the earth. All right, so I just want to bring this out. This is Ezekiel, the 2nd chapter, and I'll start at the first verse. And he said unto me, Son of man, stand upon thy feet, and I will speak unto thee. And the Spirit entered into me when he spake unto me, and set me upon my feet, that I heard him that spake unto me. And he said unto me, Son of man, I send thee to the children of Israel. So this is Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai send the prophet Ezekiel to the nation of Israel. Okay, right? Which are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, to a rebellious nation that hath rebelled against me. They and their fathers have transgressed against me, even unto this very day. You know, so the nation of Israel, which are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, that were rebelling against Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. All right. They were transgressing. They were breaking the law, statutes, and commandments. Okay. That Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai gave them. Okay. It says, you know, like having other idols, praising other idols, you know, breaking the law, statutes, and commandments. It says, for they are impotent children and stiff-hearted. I do send thee unto them, and thou shalt say unto them, thus saith the Lord Yahweh. Okay. So who does Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai send? He sends his prophets. Okay. You know, when the nation of Israel are going off, you know, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Americans, when they're being rebellious, when they're being stiff-hearted, you know, when they transgression the laws, statutes, and commandments, you know, when they're being wicked, okay, against Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, the Most High sends his prophets. Okay, all right. He sends his prophets, just like he's sending his prophets now. Okay, out there on the highways and byways, you know, because everybody pretty much knows about the Israelites, okay, on the street corners, okay, and not any street corners, the chief places of the street corners in the major cities, okay, all right. Everybody pretty much knows that because they do videos about that, you know. So the Most High sends his prophets. You know, all right. It says, 5th verse, and they, whether they will hear or whether they will forbear. So, you know, we're supposed to go out there and teach the word. The prophets go out there and teach the word, whether they hear the word or whether they forbear, whether they don't hear the word. For they are rebellious, for they are a rebellious house. Yet shall know that there hath been a prophet among them. See, 2/3 of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, Hispanics, you're going to find out that all this time, whether you heard the prophets or whether you didn't listen to the prophets, you're going to know that the prophets were among you. Okay? You're going to know that. You're going to know a prophet have been among you. Okay. All right. It says, 6th verse, and thou son of man, be not afraid of them, neither be afraid of their words. You know, because you got dudes that come up there and they talk shit, you know, while we out there, while the prophets are out there teaching the word, you know. Oh, you don't know what the hell you talking about. Yo, I'ma see you. Yeah. Keep on talking. My God gonna kill you and all this old madness. You know? All right. Neither be afraid. So we ain't supposed to be afraid of their words. Okay. Though briars and thorns be with thee, and thou dost dwell among scorpions, be not afraid of their words, nor be dismayed at their looks. Yeah, because they walk by and they give us dirty looks, man. You know? They walk by and they'll shake their head because we have the picture of Caesar Borgias, the so-called white man, Jesus Christ down there with horns on his head, with a snake's tongue. Okay? You know, and they shaking their head and they give us dirty looks. And they really want to do shit to us, man. You know? They really want to put to death. They really want to murder the prophets of the Lord. Back then, they did it. And now they want to do it. Okay? You know? So hey, listen. You know, you got some dudes that come up, you know, and they'll be over there and they'll be looking all suspicious and, you know, looking the prophets up and down. You know what I'm saying? Like they want to, you know, jump or do something, man. You know? But hey, the prophets are not dismayed, man. They're going to go out there and do the work regardless. Though they be a rebellious house. All right. So the point I wanted to get at, and that's 2/3 of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. That's 2/3 of you, man. You know, that's what you do. You know. All right. But the point I wanted to get to is that the 5th verse, yet shall know that there have been a prophet among them. Yeah, you know why? You know why? Let's go to it. All right. Let's go to it. Second Ezra 6th chapter. And no, excuse me, Second Ezra 16th chapter. And the 18th verse. It says, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars. You see, so this is what the prophets have been prophesying, man. You know, sorrows, great mournings, famines, and great death. The prophets have been out there for years prophesying there's going to be a famine. Okay, here in America. All right. There's going to be great death here in America. A lot of 2/3, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Americans, you're going to be put to death, man. The beginning of wars. The prophets have been prophesying of what? And when I say the prophets, I'm talking about first start at Great Millstone. The apostles, bishops, elders, and brothers of Great Millstone been prophesying this about how Russia is going to shoot nuclear missiles over here to America. There's going to be a third world war. You know, there's going to be a famine of food. You know, it's going to be great death out here. Okay. All right. You know, so when all this is, oh yeah. And then one more thing. One more major prophecy. One more prophecy. One major prophecy. I should say that. Let me see. Hold up. How bad? 13 and 16. Revelations 13, chapter 16, verse. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Well, we know what that mark is. The prophets know what the mark is. All right. All right. The prophets of Great Millstone know what the mark is. The apostle, bishops, elders, and brothers. And the other camps that teach about the mark. Okay. The mark is what? That RFID chip. Okay. So when the RFID chip comes out, then 2/3 of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are going to know, wait a minute. But they've been prophesying about the mark, which is the RFID chip, for years and years and years. They've been prophesying about a famine, and it happened. And it's happening. They've been prophesying about great death, and it's happening. You know? To receive a mark, which is the RFID chip, in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save that he had the mark. Okay? So they're going to know, man. They're going to, wait a minute, hold up. Yo, those are the prophets. Those are the prophets of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, starting with the apostle, bishops, elders, brothers at Great Millstone, and the other camps that teach about the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast. They're going to know that the prophets have been among them, man. Okay? 2/3 you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and even you other heathen nations, you're going to know the prophets was among them. That the prophets, yeah, those are the prophets of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Okay? So I hope you've been edified, and with that, shalom.